Hey, welcome to the first ever in-person edition of Into the Channel. Let's fucking go. I'm your host, Dino Decespedes, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Grant Engle. What's up, man?
I'm feeling fantastic, buddy. It's good to be here in person with you. Beautiful, sunny San Jose, California. I think I'm ready to talk about the NWSL Championship.
Cannot wait to get into it. So obviously, it's been a week for your boy. I mean, I put myself, through quite a grind. We had the NWSL Awards, that was quite an event. Wednesday, media day yesterday. I put up some interviews that I had, got to talk to some of the players, and then today we got to catch some of the practices, a couple of pressers, one with each team after the fact. I don't know. What were your biggest takeaways from today?
I mean, I think the question is, I don't mean to do the live producing here. I think the question is, where do I want to get started?
Where do you want to get started? Excellent question.
Let's start with some in-person beverages.
Let's go,
good man.
You see, I'm already off my game here.
You know what? It's all right.
We're on a neutral site, and I'm already making excuses as well. Cheers to you. Cheers to football. There we go. In-person cheers.
It's finally been done. Cheers to you, buddy.
Yeah, for those at home, it's been years since Grant and I have hung out in person, but it should be a great weekend, and definitely excited to get into it. The place where I want to get started, because it's been the conversation of the week. Trinity Rodman, her health, will she play? How much will she play? How much will she be able to contribute? You got to see a snippet of her today in practice. What'd you see?
All right, so during media availability, anybody who's roughly familiar with this, we got 15 minutes to watch them at the very beginning of training. I don't think it was a coincidence that we mostly saw stretching from Washington Spirit. So with that in mind, though, after seeing Trinity Rodman stretch with her teammates for 15 minutes, I am the world's foremost expert in Trinity Rodman's health. I can tell you the chatter was she was moving more gingerly than her teammates. She had one of those big kind of right knee braces that's like somewhat sleeve, somewhat brace, leaves the knee exposed. She's moving a little slower than her teammates. The stretches were a little more careful, I would say. She was stretching with Tara McKeown. There were some stretches where they would kind of like have the band around each of their legs, the same band around each leg, and then they would kind of bump into each other. You could tell Tara McKeown was taking it real easy on that drill, easier compared to the other teammates. So it's an issue. It's an injury issue. She's coming back for the final. She's going to gut through it. This is why the players play. I think it bears watching.
Definitely bears watching. I think we're going to see. I'm very curious to see that Washington attack. Who lines up? One of the biggest things that was the thing that blew me away this week. Talking to Gift Monday a little bit about the chemistry that her and Rose Kwasi have developed. Yeah. Her first thing that she said is, Rose and I can't communicate verbally. She speaks French. I speak English. I tried to talk to Rose at media day. Can confirm Rose is not talking, not talking any English, which makes it all the more incredible what they've been able to do. Now, I think Rodman is a good enough player that can kind of slot in and around anything that's going on and be additive. But do you think Washington needs a contribution from Rodman? So if Rodman doesn't play, do they have enough to get the job done?
It's going to be close. I think anytime you have one of the 5 best wingers in the world at worst, you would certainly really like a contribution from them in the biggest spot. Think of how Rodman played in the Olympics, where she was the absolute game wrecker against great teams like Germany. So do they need it to win? I think I'm 60% there. They can win without a major contribution from her, but damn, it would make things a hell of a lot easier if she does contribute.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think I want to talk a little bit too about the vibes. You got to see a little bit. I've been here a couple of days. I'm obviously based here in the Bay, so I got a little bit of a head start. But I asked Kingsbury and Tara McKeown about it at the presser because the vibes at the Challenge Cup were icy, icy. And I don't know if that was a Johan Geraldes effect. And after they won, it was a little bit of the release valve got kind of like undone there.
Sure.
But I was a little shocked to show up this week and just see every single player in the absolute highest of spirits. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing or if it's a, hey, this is the end of the season thing, or I don't know, a last dance kind of thing. But they seem incredibly confident. I don't want to say, they don't seem cocky, but on the flip side, Gotham, you know, what raised my antenna, Rose Lavelle, you asked her a great question at the presser, used the phrase icing on the cake. And I was like, I'm not sure if Gotham is really feeling like they're at the same level. Obviously, they feel like they can win. They think they can win. They're going to show up to win. But I wonder if there's some resignation there.
It's an interesting point. I was surprised that she used the term icing on the cake. I mean, basically, the context of my question was you're a World Cup winner. She has a goal in a World Cup final that her team won. You got Jess Carter, European champion. We've talked about Berger's big game pedigree. Emily Sonnet's in there. Esther's a World Cup winner. And, it's not like Lavelle dodged the question, but it was like, yeah, look, we get ready for the big games. And she really did hammer home the point that a final is the culmination of all the moments within that ecosystem of a single season, which I did think it made a lot of sense. But and obviously we're in the press conference, I don't have the ability to ask the follow-up right there. And it would have been a goofy follow-up to ask, but they finished eighth. They made it to the final. What's the cake? If winning the title is the icing,
right?
Is just making it to the final the actual cake that she's referring to?
I don't know if it was. From an outsider point of view, it's probably getting on track.
Yeah.
Since the title, it's been a whole rigmarole of doing and undoing to get all the way back to this point. It feels like it's been a whole, it's funny, like a literal 360 to get back to where they are. And obviously there's been so much turnover. It's a great question. And I think the other thing I wanted to hit, I asked that Jaden Shaw that question a few moments before, and she mentioned the first 5-10 minutes of the match. And before, when we were having lunch earlier, you brought up Midge Purce, who I think is another player to watch. Would be putting it mildly. I'm going to be watching Midge Purce very closely because that's a big game player. It's a big championship, level type, I'm going to perform type player. But Jaden Shaw used the phrasing, the first 5-10 minutes of the match. Mm-hmm. And I think doing a temperature check on how the spirit's looking and feeling and moving, through the stadium and through everything that's going on, I wouldn't be surprised if Gotham has really keyed in on that first 5-10 minutes. Midge Purce, Jaden Shaw, Rose Lavelle, I'm not sure, whoever ends up being Esther, whoever ends up being whatever the setup ends up being, I think they've identified that first 5-10 minutes as a potential turning point. And you have two super veteran teams, a 1-0 lead in a match like this, massive.
I think it's a great point. It definitely raised the antenna when Shaw brought that up. Makes me think about, what do the first 5-10 minutes of the second half look like too? Like if you kind of, segment the match like that. And we talked about it. I mean, with Bernal, with Hirschfeld, with Morgan, you gotta create a little bit of magic to beat that defense, especially with Kingsbury back there. I mean, obviously you could say something similar about Gotham's defense with Sonnet, Carter, and Ankatrin Berger. But yeah, it definitely felt like Shaw honed in on the idea of a quick start. But I will say, when you do have Kawasi playing the way she's playing, Monday, Bethune, Rodman, Cantore, if you score in the first 5 minutes, to borrow a phrase from two people we very much admire, specifically Raj Bennett from Men in Blazers, you might score too early, and then you might, the other team might get back in it.
Absolutely. I mean, Gotham does. I would. It's an interesting point because I would favor Gotham in a situation where they did score early and they could sit back and use some of that guile. Yeah. If it's up and down and it's 0-0 and it's both teams trying to grab something, it's almost like two boxers and you're the one with less power and you're exchanging punches, right? Right. It's not a situation you want to be in. So that could follow, in terms of Gotham's logic. Hey, let's score early because that is our roadmap for winning. We lock in defensively. I mean, try beating Ankatrin Berger in a big match. I mean, I think, I just speak to our media day. I mean, you could see how it is that she's able to do what she's able to do, like her level of, locked inness. And I asked a few of the Gotham players this at Media Day because I was really curious. My question was, do you feel like this team has reached their potential? Or is there still another level to go with one game left? And is that going to work out? I'll say most of the Gotham players didn't really engage with it. Ann Katzenberger was like, yeah, there's another level. Like life is about improvement, and that's what I'm about. And it's like, I think she said specifically, I hope there's another level, which I thought was awesome. But I think that is probably the recipe for Gotham. I want to talk about Washington, though.
Yeah.
Adrian Gonzalez at the presser today used the term dangerous to describe Gotham's attack. That kind of, got me thinking about how aggressive Washington might be. Will they be? We talked about Bernal and McKeown getting upfield, getting up and back. Kawasi, as a fullback. How aggressive do you think Washington's going to be? And what do you think? What do you think they're thinking that their recipe is for victory?
Thinking about all of the mind games and the tactics and everything that goes into this. So if it is apparent early in the match that Gotham is going to go full attack, press hard, run forward, try to get a stare into some space, in that press conference, Tara McKeown pointed out specifically in response to one of my questions was that Esther is great at winning the ball in the air, even if she is a little, diminutive height-wise. I thought that was interesting that she specifically called out Esther's skill at winning aerial balls. If you're Washington, okay, if Gotham's gonna run at us, how quickly can we go from either Bernal or McKeown up to Hirschfeld or up to Bethune, and then try to unlock on the counter? Mm-hmm. And we know they have that in their game. You think about Kawasi and Monday too. Can you just get the ball forward? I mean, I feel like every time we talk about this, we just have to list every player. If you get the ball to Cantori up in space, yeah. Right? Like she could dominate. And then, by the way, Trinity Rodman is one of the best in the world on the wing doing that. So, Heraldez and Amaros, they both skew maybe a wee bit conservative. Maybe Amaros more than a little bit conservative in some of his game planning. So we might be in for a no, you take the ball. No, you take the ball from both sides of the team as both sides kind of look for the counter.
So that probably sets us up for, it's tough to say because Washington does feel like a team with the upper hand. But in those matches where the chances are fewer and further between, a little cagier, a little trickier, does Gotham have like those special moment type players? I asked Jaden Shaw specifically about the free kick in Orlando. What's going through your mind? How did you do that? What was it? I wanted to know as much as possible about that free kick. I don't think I'll ever forget it. It was just such a soul crusher for your boy.
Yeah.
But does Gotham have are they better equipped for a match that's 0-0 in the 80s when, there's a chance every 10 minutes? You look at Rose, you look at Jaden Shaw, you look at Esther, who probably just needs, we talked about that stat earlier this year, how efficient she is, how few box touches she needs to get goals and shots on target. I don't know, man. If I'm Washington now, all of a sudden, maybe I'm thinking, maybe we crank up the aggressiveness to make sure that we're not in that position.
I think it's a fair point. I mean, it's such a tough question. I mean, anytime you have two teams in a final like this, and I know the regular season plays a huge part in the seeding and who even qualifies for a cup like this. But these are two absolutely loaded teams. And as you try to do the calculus of who has more players who can produce a super special moment, feels kind of like a push. I mean, it's really, really close.
Without Rodman, for sure.
Yes. And I think I still lean Washington Spirit to answer your question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I do as well, just because I feel like they're going to be able to make it their kind of game versus a 0-0 game. But if it's 0-0 at halftime and, you look at the shot chart and it's 5-4, Gotham's probably high-fiving in the dressing room if it's that kind of matchup. Because to your earlier point, who's getting the ball upfield? I keep thinking about that corner last week. Hirschfeld one action and Kawasi's off, and it's a 2-on-2, and
There you go.
you get the Kawasi Gift Monday connection, which I asked Gift Monday about, and in an amazing moment, she admitted to me that even though the chemistry, she called the chemistry a divine connection,
I love it.
which was beautiful. And then she also mentioned that they can't communicate verbally because Rose Kawasi doesn't only speaks French, not English, and Gift Monday doesn't speak French.
There you go. And they don't need it. I mean, they speak the same. They speak a similar type of football together. Mm-hmm. And I think Gonzalez has done a good job of that. I think the players kind of spoke to that. Like, obviously, Geraldes has like a part in that, right? Like instilling that culture. He gets hired. He brings Gonzalez with him. But they have a connectivity in that team, which was, and again, I'll mention it. Everybody take a drink for how many times I've mentioned this match. When they came out of the international break and they, what I thought, really took it to Portland Thorns, and I was just looking at their chemistry as a side. I was like, oh boy, they're gonna be really hard to beat, and here they are in the final.
Yeah, no doubt. And then tomorrow, game day, which for Gift Monday means it's goal day.
Oh, God, best quote. Everybody, please. I mean, I'm sure you already have, but if you have not had a chance yet, please watch the Media Day video that Dino put together from his great questions. Hit us with the Gift Monday quote, please, to your recollection.
So yeah, I basically just asked her, what is it like to be in that kind of zone? Like, how do you get prepared? And she was just like, some game days I wake up and I'm not really fully feeling myself, and then I kind of, paraphrasing, you got to kind of shake it off, and then she just reminds herself that when it's game day is goal day, basically. And I was just where can I want to put that on an ITC t-shirt of some sort, just because I want to live that. I mean, honestly, I want to go back. I'm going to do this next week because I'm in full like game analysis mode, and maybe it's because I'm an older guy at this point in my life, but I love asking about mindset, like teasing out that wisdom, understanding like the mentality, and like, just kind of like process and all that kind of stuff. And some of the things that I got, just absolute brilliance from, like you mentioned, Gift Monday, Ann Kachenberger, Jess Carter. Like, you just get a window into like Lacey Santos, how they see and think about competing and reaching the pinnacle of their potential. And it's just so inspiring and so moving to hear, these players talk about. I'm getting a little like, moved recounting it. It's just a very, very cool opportunity for us to be out here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, pull some of those quotes, because I definitely want to share them on a future episode. Just awesome moments, things that I'm not going to forget, even though in the moment I've forgotten them.
It's a whirlwind out here. Look, I mean, your boys are covering the final first time in person. Give us a little bit of slack. Well, yeah, we'll get the quotes up. They had a lot of great things to say.
Oh, yeah. All right, man. Should we get to predictions?
I think we're there.
I'm going to kick it to you, or unless I'm happy to go first, because I feel pretty solidified in where I'm at.
Yeah, go ahead then, please. After you.
Okay. I talked about this quite a bit with regards to the Kansas City Current, the year of the 2-0.
Wow.
And I think the recipe that Kansas City was using, breakthrough at the end of the first half, at some point in the first half, and then just choke the life out of the game. I feel like you look at those defenders on Washington, Bernal, Hirschfeld, McKeown, even Wiesner had an unbelievable game last week. Hirschfeld back there supporting. I just feel like they have the ability to, just choke the life out of a game if they can get the lead. The big question is, can they get the lead? And I think that's basically where my prediction is hinged upon. There's been talk about Trinity Rodman. How many minutes can she go? And I feel like if I'm Adrian Gonzalez, I'm probably being like, I'd like to start Trinity Rodman, please. And then whenever however many minutes we get, or whenever we want to make the call, we make the call. But it could be that. It could be a goal in the first 10 minutes, and now all of a sudden, the stack of chips that Gotham is staring at, it just tripled in size. Right. So I think my prediction, give me 2-0 to the Washington Spirit. Player of the match, Rose Kawasi.
Okay, love it. I think it works. Now there are only two of us, so it makes it less tricky. But we're going to do the thing. We're going to do the media thing where the graphic across the bottom is all the same team. And everybody goes, "Oh, so you're all on this team, huh?" But look, I mean,
Everybody's picking the Cowboys.
exactly. So I got to do it. I mean, I've been talking about how much I love the way the Washington Spirit plays football. Maybe somewhat to their chagrin after they beat Seattle Reign FC, and I kept asking their Reign players and Laura Harvey, like, "Man, Washington's really good, huh?" And they're just like, yeah, cool. Thanks for the questions." But I am gonna go with 1-0 Washington Spirit, and I'm gonna say the goal comes from Croy Bethune sometime between the 60th and the 75th minute. So that second round of the second half, so to speak, I think she produces a moment of magic. And look, I mean, as I've said on this program, I consider myself the world's foremost Croy Bethune stockholder. You can't give me this opportunity with her in the final, the NWSL championship, pardon me, to solidify that.
I had a great time talking to Hal Hirschfeld this week at Media Day. Can I tack on a Hal Hirschfeld through ball up the center of the park to set Croy up to kind of like, blow the top off the game-winning assist to a great friend of the ball, Hal Hirschfeld?
That's what we were talking about. I mean, if Gotham is going to press, maybe you have, an attack where it's purse and it's a stare. It doesn't pan out. The ball gets to Hirschfeld. She plays it up through Bethune. We've seen Bethune on the break in multiple different spots. We've seen her shoot from distance. I think it's on the board.
You mentioned Mitch Purse. Shout out to Gretchen, too. Great friend of the pod as well.
The best.
Mitch Purse, I think if I had a tenth of a take chip to rewind back a couple years for us, I might put it on Mitch Purse making a big impact in this match.
Yeah.
Because we talked about those first 5-10 minutes being like potential, smash and grab territory. What a player. Like, I mean, Gotham kind of has a great setup between Purse and Jaden Shaw. You can see something like that.
Yep.
Flipping the game over after a Washington Spirit side has got maybe earned the first 3-4 chances of the match. So I would definitely pay very close attention to Mitch Purse, very close attention to Jaden Shaw, because I think they can definitely flip my prediction, and I'm going to make sure you hit that before we get out of here.
I mean, that's the thing with these two teams is that, like, how many times
have I keep going?
Yeah, how many times have I talked about Rose Lavelle being one of my favorite footballers who's ever lived? And, like, if we're sitting there in the 37th minute and Lavelle gets downhill and scores a goal, then I'm just going to be like, oh, yeah, sure. Of course that happened.
Yeah. I was so glad you got a question into Rose, which excellent question, by the way. Great answer. We're going to chop those up to get those onto the YouTube and to our various channels.
Of course.
Is there anything else, Mr. Grand Angle? Obviously, we'll be at the final. We'll be at the championship tomorrow. I'm not sure when we're going to pod. We'll figure that part out later. But we'll definitely have a post game pod at some point before drive time on Monday morning.
I like it.
I think we can aspire to that. But is there anything else you want to hit in our official NWSL Championship preview before we call it an episode?
I don't know if this, we're going to make the decision. Is this video? Is this audio only?
It's video.
Okay, it's video. So non-football related. I'm sitting in the lower chair. You're a son of a bitch for having me sit in the lower chair. You're already 1.5 inches taller than me. And now I'm sitting in the lower chair. Dino's not 10 inches taller than me, just to be clear. He's 6'3". I'm 6'1.5". Don't forget my half.
Confirmed. I can confirm this.
And so, all right, it's fine. I think it's just the way the seating worked out. I just want to make sure, for the record, as an old man who, may be a little sensitive about his height, 6'1.5". I look tiny compared to you in this seating setup.
Well, you got me out here looking like JJ Redick with this tiny mic.
It's true.
We keep it moving.
That's fair. You know what? It's a work in progress. First live pod.
Yeah. So just to be clear, nothing else you want to hit before we get out of here?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, that about does it.
All right. Thank you for watching, listening, hanging out with your boys. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/channel. Great way to do that. ITC merch. Great way to do that. Even better way to do that, some might say. Follow us on socials. Subscribe to the channels. If you're out here in the Bay, if you're going to be at the final, I'll be in some ITC gear. I'm going to bring my ITC gear tomorrow. I want to be easily recognizable. You'll be able to fact check Grant's height tomorrow
go.
if you're in the building and you run into your boys. Happy to see you. Happy to say hello. But yeah, with that said, I think we did it. I think we completed this preview, man. I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you. And yeah, if you want to fact check the height, I guess I shouldn't be too sensitive about my height being taller than 6 foot. Don't try me out there. You don't want that. But yeah, for anybody,
tough crowd usually in these.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for anybody who is out here, I think our pal Gretchen might be around. Michael Cockane, friend of the show.
Oh, let's go contentful. Please, I really hope the ITC hoodie reached great friend of the pod.
Let's go. So yeah, let us know. Hit us, drop in the comments. Hit us up in the DMs on Blue Sky. Whatever you want to do. We'd love to say hello to any of our internet pals out there.
You gonna see him next time?
Oh shit, yeah, you did toss it up to me. See, again, work in progress. So yeah, maybe for some of you, not only will we see you next time, we'll see you at the match, but thank you everybody for supporting the show, and we will see you all next time.